Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to this Friday edition of the Angela Ray Show. I hope that you all have had a great week and an even better Friday. This is the last day of our Divine Nine series. Last week, had an opportunity to speak with the ladies of the Divine Nine, and this week it has been the men. And so we are winding it up on tonight with a very nice way to put a bow on talking about what all of these great organizations do. For everyone who will be catching this broadcast on the replay, I know some of you are still commuting home, so thank you so much for being a supporter of the Angela Ray Show. For those of you who are catching the broadcast live, you know what to do. Slide on in those comments, say hello, and let me know what you are doing this weekend. Would love to know what you are planning to do, what you feel comfortable doing, because of course, we are still in the midst of a pandemic. As I mentioned, this is the last day of our Divine Nine series. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the Divine Nine is a term for the nine fraternities and sororities that are part of the NPHC. They include Alpha Phi Alpha, Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, Delta Sigma Theta, Phi Beta Sigma, Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho, and of course the Iota. So those are the nine organizations. And one of the amazing things about these organizations, and particularly the members, they are leaders in almost every aspect of our country. Of course, yesterday we were talking about the great loss that we had in one member of the Divine Nine, Phi Beta Sigma, and that is the late Congressman John Lewis. So, again, when you get onto the broadcast, go ahead and slide into those comments. Again, let me know what you are doing this weekend. We're going to go ahead and get started, as we always do, with our Ray of Motivation moment. And for tonight's Ray of Motivation moment, I'm actually taking a quote from last night's broadcast. If you caught the show on yesterday, I had an opportunity to interview Kwame Jackson, who is an entrepreneur, an author, a speaker, a global influencer, in fact. And one of the things that he said was being comfortable in your own skin is actually a superpower. And as I was rewatching the broadcast last night, a little bit later, after the show was live, that just really hit me because unfortunately, in 2020, there are many people who are not comfortable in their own skin. And we see that because of the way people compare themselves, especially when they look at other people's lives on social media. You know, social media has been a great way to connect. It's been an amazing resource for small businesses and entrepreneurs. And with this pandemic, it's been an amazing way for people to reach out and get in contact with family members around the country, even around the world. But we still hear about people, some individuals, looking at other people's lives, their highlight reel, if you will, and comparing that to all of the stuff that happens in their lives backstage. Nine times out of 10, unless someone is angry and they're wanting to put somebody on blast, people share on social media what they want to share, what they want you to know, the best of everything that their life has to offer. And comparing yourself to someone else's highlight reel just doesn't even make sense. But more importantly, when you're comfortable in your own skin, it doesn't matter what someone else is posting or sharing, or whether that's in real life or whether that's on social media. You know that you know that you know that you are where you're supposed to be. You're with who you're supposed to be with, and you are doing what you are supposed to be doing. And again, that is tonight's Ray of Motivation moment. Being comfortable in your own skin is actually a superpower. So, thank you to Kwame Jackson for sharing that one with us on tonight. Just want to remind you that the Angela Ray Show is sponsored by Sheer Styles Beauty Store. You can catch the link right in the caption of this live broadcast. Visit the website so that you can get all of your essential needs. Yes, masks are still needed, and the website has so many different things to offer. N95 masks, your disposable masks, those gloves, as well as hand sanitizers, and all of your beauty needs for the ladies and a few things for the gentleman as well. So please visit Sheer Styles Beauty Store. Visit the website that's included in the link. Well, right about now, it is time for me to welcome our special guest for tonight. He is an entrepreneur. He is an author. He is a celebrity photographer, and he is the mastermind behind Majority Greek magazine. So please help me welcome Duane Jones. Duane, thank you so much for being on the Angela Ray Show tonight.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much for that warm welcome.
You're welcome. Now, I'm just curious. I know that many of us are starting to do what we call normal right now. And I just saw a recent photo shoot that you did that hit social media. But when we were like clink, clink and really locked down, how are you spending that time?
Oh man, for a serial entrepreneur, um, like it was a period of creation. I think that anybody that's always busy, always working, always moving, when you sit them down for 2 or 3 months, they're going to create something in their brain. Dreams. I think I created like 3 more businesses in quarantine, and they're all starting to come to fruition now. So yeah, I was just creating and just ready to get back into the world safely. It took 2.5 months to start inching back into photography, which is my main, career path. So it's interesting. So now that the world's kind of opening back up, I'm starting to release some of those other brain children that I came up with while we were locked down.
So, how did you get into photography?
Oh man, it was actually a nag more so than anything. I loved photography when I was in high school. That's when I got my first, when we had dark room and all the chemicals and all that good stuff, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just dangerous. But I fell in love with photography then, and then I came to the South because I'm from Ohio. I came to the South to North Carolina to Johnson C. Smith, um, and I had one of those little Walmart those little cameras that you buy for $5. I had like a million of those things, and I was always snapping pictures. Then I transferred to Fayetteville State, and the person I was with at the time was like, "You always talking about taking pictures, but you never take pictures, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Man, whatever." And then I think like a week later we did pictures, and then a week after that I showed my mom some pictures, and she was like, "Boy, you need to do that for real." And I just took that as my vision and my confirmation. And then I went out and bought like a $2,000 camera, and 15 years later, we're here. So it was all because I was, basically like, "Oh, why don't you take pictures of me?" And we're here. So it's been great.
Now, you are the creator of Majority Greek magazine. It
Mm.
is the only magazine dedicated to showcasing the fine men and women who are members of the Divine Nine. What prompted you to create the Majority Greek?
The move to Atlanta from North Carolina, I felt that I was kind of in. I felt that I grew as much as I could in North Carolina. So I took I packed up everything. My daughter, we moved to Atlanta. We're just jumping into a new pond, and I got here and I lucked up into working with some celebrities and doing some magazine stuff, which I have been doing, but it was more, a more celebrity based. Starting to shoot more of that, and I was looking around, and Georgia has so many chapters. It was it just made sense that like, God, it's 200 plus chapters in the Atlanta metro area, and these aren't,
Now,
North
you
Carolina.
said 200 in Atlanta. It's not, it's a lot. It's not 200 in
No,
Atlanta. Maybe in
yes it
Georgia. In
is.
Georgia. It's not 200 chapters in
No,
Atlanta.
yes, it has to be. Think about it. We have all the schools plus all the grad chapters. I mean, it's like 10 AKA grad chapters in the Atlanta area. Just grad chapters, not undergrad chapters.
Right.
Just grad chapters. And even with that, they're they're literally
It's a lot, though. It is,
chapters
you're
with,
right. There are
and
a lot.
the chapters are also bigger. Like my chapter in North Carolina was like 30 dudes. That was a grad chapter. Man, it's Delta, aka that, chapters with 700, 800 members in them. These chapters are humongous. So it just made sense once I seen that I was working in celebrity photography, getting more back into Greek life. Joined a wonderful chapter, new Psi Sigma chapter, and it just made sense. So I did my research for about a year and a half, and then I was like, you know what, is this time to do it?
And so, what has the experience been like for you now that you've launched this magazine? You've had some celebrity Greeks on your covers. What has it been like? What has your reception been like from the what did you say, 2,000 chapters that are in the Atlanta area?
200 chapters, not 2,000, but it's been great. I mean, obviously, um, this COVID-19 situation put a real big dent in a lot of people's progress, but the platform was set. The reception has been great, you know. And as a photographer, as a person that's in visuals all day, I really wanted a product that we could literally go to Barnes and Nobles and it'd be next to an Essence or next to a Vogue or next to a Jet, and it would stand on its own. I believe that we created that. So now it's just time to push through all the hard stuff that's been with this COVID-19 situation, get that back on track, try to get a new, you know, everybody's looking for the new normal, but really trying to get that so we can really readjust and get the information back out in whatever way that we can do it at this point.
So, aside from photography and aside from the magazine, what other endeavors are keeping you busy these days?
Oh man, I'm about a week away from launching a new business. And not to say that it's exclusive to African Americans, but it is a big push visually for Black families, Black dads, Black moms, Black children. Obviously, the social injustice issues that we're facing now, we kind of need to highlight some of that now so people don't forget, because that as a Sigma man, I've noticed, you know, just being around photography, being around celebrity, being around community events and all that, is if you look at the climate, we're getting more and more comfortable being disrespected. And not to say that we're not when we bite, like when we bite, we're biting harder, but we're not biting nearly as long when it comes to being uncomfortable with the way that Black men, women, children, brown people are being treated. So if you look back to, you know, some of the other African Americans that were killed or, you know, murdered unjustly, the rage was like 6 months, and people were protesting hard for 6 months, and then another person gets killed, and then it was like 3 months, and then another person gets killed, and it was like a month. And now we're kind of getting to the point where, oh, it's a couple of weeks, everybody's back to their regularly scheduled program, and we need to stop that. You know, that's one major concern that I've had. Just looking from a person that's always around media, looking for a person that's always around people and doing community service. It's like we're not enraged as long anymore. We're comfortable being disrespected, if I could say that, as a loose tense. You know, we're not really making ourselves be what we're supposed to be.
Now, do you think that that is impacted any by the shiny object syndrome? That is, particularly with social media, something can start trending and or there's something hot or something viral, and all of a sudden everybody's attention is on that one
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah,
We've had some great moments that have been like that, it seemed like yesterday the world and definitely the country paused to pay honor where honor was due to the late Congressman John Lewis.
right.
But there have been other shiny objects, for lack of a better term, where there's a video that goes viral, or
A
something
dance.
in politics, a dance, right? And we're all doing the challenge, or there's something in politics. A politician says something, we find out some skeletons in a politician's closet, and then all of a sudden that's where everybody's attention
Mhm.
is focused to, and whatever was important prior
Right,
to that moment, it seems like that's when a lot of the momentum and the passion kind of dissipates.
right.
And it feels that that is really impacted these days more than anything by social media.
Hmm.
When we didn't have those types of distractions, it was really maybe the internet and some email, because of course there were, before social media, there were those chain emails that went around, and we were getting the same thing about Tommy Hilfiger getting kicked off of the Oprah Winfrey Show, but not one person ever saw that episode. But it was either the newspaper, the news, or maybe some email. But now, with the instantaneous delivery of information through social media, it to me, it just seems like the shiny object is what gets the focus. But I'd love to know from you, have you noticed that, and has that been your Has that been your perspective at all?
Yeah, I mean, we're it was a I'm a former marketing teacher, and one thing is called is information overload. It's so much information thrown at these kids, especially. So you have information overload, which is just so much information because if we would have to watch a basketball game or something, somebody got killed in the news, like that would be on the news the next morning, and we would have to watch that all day. Whereas somebody gets killed at midnight, it's gonna run for a couple hours and then it's on to the next something else. And then the fear of missing out, the FOMO. So now all these kids don't want to be left out. So everybody's trying to do something even more spectacular than the next person so that they don't feel like they're getting left behind because the social media gratification is like now. I got to have it now. And nobody's really patient anymore to wait things out. Everybody wants to be Insta famous, Facebook famous, YouTube famous, and I just want to be just great. I don't care how many likes she. I mean, it is what it is. From a man that's 42 years old, my perspective on fame and prosperity and getting your goals is totally different than a like or a follow. And that's where we're at now.
Now, you mentioned that you were involved with, you left North Carolina and came to the Atlanta area, and you became active with a graduate chapter in the area.
Mhm.
How has brotherhood impacted your life, being a part of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity?
Well, it's even more so now for me because I've been a parent, you know, and although I have three children, my daughter's been with me for the last 9 years. So having and realistically, I'm a photographer, so I'm around women 98% of the time. So for me to be able to congregate, to enjoy, to talk to conscious men means the world to me because I'm never around it. I'm around women all the time. Makeup artists, hairstylists, models, clients. The majority of the people that I'm around are women. So when I get a chance, the opportunity to fellowship with grown men that are focused. They're about community. They're about social justice. I love my frat. I'm 21 years in. I'm the second vice president in my chapter. It didn't take me much to want to jump in once I met some brothers that were like, we're about business, and married fellows, single fellas, whatever. They're all walks of life, but when it's time to do some work, these fellas are ready to put it in, and I respect that. And again, I gravitate to being able to spend some time just shooting the breeze or working next to some strong brothers.
Circling back to Majority Greek magazine, we talked about how you got this idea to come up with it. But, because I've been talking to members of the Divine Nine all week, I'd love to know your process for selecting people to run stories about. If there are members of the Divine Nine who are listening, is there something that they could do collectively as a chapter, as a line? What is the magazine all about?
God, man, it's the way, and we're kind of franchising now. That was the initial goal, was to have an overall magazine, a blanket magazine. So an Essence magazine for Greeks is basically the whole feel of the magazine. It's a lifestyle and fashion magazine, strictly for Greeks. So all the content is Greek based. Um, these people they're not jumping around saying I'm a Sigma, I'm a Delta, I'm a Q, I'm an Iota. These people are working. So it was time for somebody to say, okay, let's focus on these people that are working. And being that it's only one magazine, my goal was, okay, let's build up the international magazine, the Majority Greek International, and then we can franchise so we can have Majority Greek Atlanta, which we just started a month ago, Majority Greek Dallas, Majority Greek Chicago, so that more people can be highlighted for what they're doing, and we can, and it's like a threefold ministry. It's kind of highlighting those Greeks, but then passively as a recruitment tool, because if you're Mr. Omega Psi Phi is a high school gym teacher and he has a copy of Majority Greek on the table, and then Vincent walks by and says, "Hey man, what's that about?" "Oh yeah, this is Majority Greek magazine. I'm a Omega Psi Phi." These start early in those days of middle school, high school, starting to kind of bring them into the fold. And then for those members that have kind of faded away, the third part is, okay, you can passively get those members that are kind of faded away back in by having some content they can read upon. Because I've learned so much about Greek life. I know a lot about Sigma, obviously. Representative John Lewis. I knew a lot about Zeta, obviously, but I've learned about alphas and AKAs and deltas and Qs. I've learned so much, everybody stands on the same thing: service, brotherhood, sisterhood. So it's like, okay, let's get that information out there. And there's some wonderful Black and brown people and all people, all races that are doing some amazing things in the name of their organizations that I just felt that we just needed to highlight. So that was the base of it. It's like, how can we get the recognition? I want to see fraternity and sorority life back when it was in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, when it was just like, oh, it was just such an honor and a privilege to be a member. And they were doing such great things. But now we need to shine the light and to show that what they're doing.
Okay. And so you mentioned that you've learned a lot about some of the other organizations since you've been and since you've had the magazine. What's been the most spectacular story, or one of the most? I know you don't want to single anybody out, but one of the
No,
most
I'm like,
spectacular stories, one of the amazing stories that you've uncovered or covered during your time with the magazine.
God, man, it's been so many. I mean, I think everything is spectacular when you come to, like, these people are innovators. So it's a Q in New York that has his own vegan toothpaste line, and then obviously Pinky,
Wow,
Pinky, Delta Sigma Theta member, she has that, slutty vegan.
slutty vegan,
So
yeah.
I mean, that's like exploded all over the world. So it's stuff like that where they're creating, they're in the community. That these people are presidents of universities, they're athletic directors, they're teachers, they're doctors, lawyers. And it was like you never would have known that until somebody kind of put a flashlight over to that. So to go back and answer your question, there is no cookie cutter response to who we're trying to highlight. It's not about celebrity to me. We've had some celebrity covers. We also had some people that were just doing amazing things. And as
Hmm.
we franchise out more, then we'll be able to feature more people. And people are just doing awesome things in their community, that you feel that need to be covered. You just go to majoritygreek.com, or message us on DM us on Instagram or Facebook and say, hey man, this is what my soror's doing. She's not gonna say nothing about it because she just like to work. But I want you to know that she's the only Black veterinarian in Selma, or she started her own tutoring company in California. Those are the things that we've really been focused on highlighting.
I want to know about this vegan toothpaste because you know,
Yeah, we I've been kind of working with him trying to fix. Again, COVID-19 has been a real crazy situation to kind of try to get content now, because I've done like 95% of the photography and a good bit of the writing too. But to be able to get to these people now has been a challenge, or being able to get content from people has been a challenge because they can't get out to get photographers, or some people are still haven't open back up yet. Some cities and states are still locked down. So it's really been a challenge. So it's kind of like, okay, I've kind of wanted to pause and say, hey, wherever your membership was or your subscription was, don't worry about it. We're going to start a new. So if you had a year subscription and your subscription is about to end next month, don't worry about it. We're gonna start everybody over once I feel that we'll be able to start consistently putting the content back out again. But until then, we're just kind of putting out little stories, getting our content together, you know, reaching out to more people, trying to do little small events and stuff like that, because there's just so many stories that need to be told.
hmm. And I just saw you, Mark Wiggins, on the broadcast, one of my fellow Kappa friends. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey man.
So, you got this magazine. You're now going to be franchising out. Do
Right.
you have any other business endeavors involving Greeks? Because it almost seems like the time is ripe for the picking. I'm sure you know, because you've probably photographed her before, Rasan Ali. She
Right.
has the Cool Soror podcast where she
Right.
interviews different members of the NPHC sorority. So,
Right.
are you doing anything else with Greeks that
Yeah,
we can look forward to?
I've been trying to talk to Rashawn because I was one of the photographers for Sister Circle. So between her, Selena, and then Miss Quad, we kind of built a good rapport. And I've been talking to Rashawn like, yo, I want you to kind of incorporate Cool Soror into the magazine, because again, that's just another avenue to highlight Greeks. But I've been kind of working on the background. Realistically, between the other business that we're launching that week and obviously as a Sigma, like, well, not even as a Sigma, as a Greek, that service component is huge, and my heart is for kids. I'm a former teacher. I have 3 kids, like, and our little black boys really need a whole lot more. So we created Fit Create Fresh, which started out as like a photo shoot group for kids, but the ultimate goal was to kind of build it into a nonprofit. So that will focus on, mental and physical fitness. So
Okay.
mental fitness has really, really been a big issue, especially among African Americans, because we like, oh, just suck it up, or the huge phrase, man up, whatever that means. Man up means bury all your feelings and just suffer in silence. And I don't necessarily agree with that. So how can we reach kids to build up their mental fitness and their physical fitness? Like, let's get these kids off these video games, off these iPads, off these phones, and let's get them out doing stuff. So we started that last month. So we started a car club for kids, which is basically all the kids show up with their remote controlled cars. They can social distance, but we can have fun doing things that we did when we were kids that they don't do now. They'll play a video game, but now we have 10, 20, 30 kids in the big field, and they're driving their cars around, and they're getting that experience with their mom, dad, uncle, grandpa, whatever. And then next month, on the 16th, here in Atlanta, we're doing a Nerf battle. So all the stuff that we can do social distance wise, but still get these kids off the couch, out of the front of all these electronics. Because remember that fear of missing out. They're gonna miss out. They got to do a TikTok video. They got to do a challenge. They got to see what their friends doing. But let's get them outside. Let's build up the mental capacity. Because now that we got them outside playing with real life stuff, then we can kind of, hey man, what's going on with your grades, or how's it going at home? So I really just wanted to be able to create a platform that we could focus on building up kids mentally and physically.
Now, you said you're a serial entrepreneur. You've had multiple successful endeavors, but no one reaches the level of success that you have without overcoming some challenges.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm curious to know, how have you overcome those valley moments to keep making it back to the mountaintop?
Man, a lot of prayer, a lot of crying. I mean, I got a daughter that's supportive. My sons are supportive. I have a really close family, so um, that's been like, without them, without people that love me, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Not to leave a place that I was okay at and go to a brand new place where nobody really knows me, nobody give a crap. It's 5,000 photographers in the Atlanta area and counting, and just try to start carving out my piece of the pie. And it really has taken 4 years of, this is like New York. It's like a baby New York. So it's like a fake it till you make it thing type here, where everybody's here to make it big. So everybody is, you know, Instagram heavy, and everybody's living in, like you said, on your Ray moment. Like, everybody's living that lifestyle. Like, all you see is greatness, but man, people struggling just like you. Stars, celebrities, regular people. Everybody has their own struggles, and you just have to focus on you, get you straight, pray. Lord knows I prayed and cried enough. Through meeting people, and that was a flake, or trying something new, and that was a flake. But now I've put 15 years into being a photographer, and a 4 solid years of trying to carve out some space in the Atlanta area, and now it's finally starting to be able to get into the position where now not only can I help myself, but I can help others.
That is awesome. Thinking about, you were just talking about, being very community service minded, and thinking about what is going on right now. A lot of people say that we are in the midst of two pandemics. One is fighting COVID-19, and the other one is racism. Seeing that our Divine Nine members are often on the front lines of making things happen, what do you think the legacy will be from this period of time for our Divine Nine members?
Man, perseverance. And again, I think that even with the magazine, we need to get back to that place where it meant something ultra spectacular to be a member of one of these organizations. It was like, oh my God, Angel is a such and such. Wow. Like, we know that not only did she, was she already someone that, gave to her community, did things. She was, grades and all that stuff. But now she's really on the front lines pushing for what we need. But again, going back to the magazine, these are people that are already doing that. They're just not
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Oh, I'm a iota," or I'm a SG Row." They're just working. So it's our job to highlight them so people know. Oh yeah, no wonder that half of the city councilmen in every city and every leader in the urban community is most likely a member of these organizations. That says a lot and it means a lot. But I feel that we can do more. I feel that we can be just a little bit more vocal on 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 what we're trying to do. You know, because it's I'm in the South, man. This racism thing is real. You know, and I have 3 kids, but I have 2 black men coming up. Like it's just so like it's so impressive for them to see me doing work, but to also talk to them about, okay, you get pulled over by the police. I know the law says this, but there's some extra rules that you need to know as a young black man. And that's something that we shouldn't have to do, but we still have to educate our kids and our black and brown people, on what needs to be done until we fight that hard enough fight, get in that good trouble, as Representative John Lewis would say, so that we can abolish some of this nonsense that we shouldn't have to have a separate manual for living just because our skin has melanin in it. I just don't agree with that. So we obviously have work to do.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up this interview and Divine 9 Week, I will say it has been definitely a delight for me. I've had an opportunity to talk to so many different individuals and learn a lot from their respective career journeys. Are there any? You know what? We do have a question that just came in from one of our very loyal supporters and viewers, Edwin Evans, and this question is on the screen. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone is obsessed with selfies. As a photographer, are you a fan of the selfie? How can we make our selfie game better? Man, I'm a photographer. I don't know. I take the worst selfies ever because my perspective is so different than those of people taking selfies. But let me do this so you don't get burdened down by the selfie game. Is those people that take those amazing selfies then took 789,000 pictures before they got that one. Don't pressure yourself to think that they took one picture and they got that amazing selfie sitting on the sink with the booty out. Like no, they took some work and 795 selfies to get that picture. So find your light, get your good angle, take a whole bunch of them, and then really just enjoy it, man. But I love pictures. I can look at pictures all day, selfies, regular pictures, birds, plants. I enjoy looking at pictures, so I appreciate the selfie. I just suck at it, and I guess that's come from old age, and I'm always looking out of the camera from a different perspective. So my goal and my perspective is totally different. But yeah, selfies, it's all right. I just think but we haven't nearly seen as much selfies and stuff like that since COVID hit. We just see more challenges and TikTok videos and all that stuff. So people have calmed down on the selfie game. But guess stay at home with no makeup and no all that stuff on. So
Right.
yeah, so
Not getting
but
the
yeah,
hair done,
yeah.
not getting the fade and stuff.
Right. So yeah, you see, you got the hat on. Man, whew, we go to barbershops sparingly, in the midst of this pandemic. But yeah, we gotta do what we gotta do.
Well, cool. I have your Instagram account scrolling at the bottom of the
Yeah.
screen so people can connect with you both as a photographer as well as Majority Greek Magazine. Any final thoughts as we get ready to wrap up?
Oh man, I just say, I mean, we've been stuck at home, so I impress upon you, especially if you have children, to really get these kids into the mindset that multiple streams of income to me is important. Because if we look back at the history of jobs, mom and dad or grandma, grandpa, they were on a job for 20 years, 30 years, they retired, got a pension and all that stuff, and now they're sitting on the beach or whatever. That's not the case.
Hmm.
That's not our reality. Maybe even as a 40-something-year-old. But these kids right now, man, their job is gonna last 2 years, 3 years. So you need to have another plan. I found something that I love to do, so I never really work. And that's what I impress upon my kid. My daughter's going to school at Georgia State for film. Of course, I didn't sign off on it unless you got a minor in business, because you need to have some type of business background to be able to really succeed so I don't care if it's YouTube videos, seminars, get the business background. But I impress upon everybody: teach your kids, yourself, you know, do something that you love to do, get paid for it, and have a couple other things. I don't care if you make candles, you do nails, whatever. Even the multi-level marketing stuff. If it worked for you, it doesn't work for me. I know a million people, and it still doesn't work for me. But find something that you love to do it, get paid for it, and also have some other stuff that you do, that just in case another COVID-19 situation hits, then what you're gonna do? You're not worried about all this other stuff.
Well, you got a couple more questions before we wrap
Okay.
up from a fellow D9er.
So, do you think the D9 will work harder to work together now? Yes, I do. I've seen it personally, and I don't ever think that the D9 were working against each other. I think healthy competition is amazing. I feel I'm a Phi Beta Sigma man. I feel that we're the best fraternity ever, and I don't see why anybody that plays Kappa or Omega or Alpha or whatever would think any differently. But when it's time to work, when it's time to take care of the community, man, these brothers and sisters are together. You got an event, we're there. You something happened to a member. Even here, the Delta's got Keisha Lamb's bottoms of the Delta, and this dude tripping on her, trying to sue her and all this good stuff. But she trying to keep her city safe. And African Americans are the ones with more of the health issues. So yeah, wear a mask. It's a mask. So we stand with Keisha Lance Bottoms, Delta Sigma Theta, love you. But I think that as we grow, and this racism has really helped us, even though it hurts. It doesn't hurt us, but it hurts. But it's helped us come together, because now it's like, man, we know, these people are not afraid to be racist now. And that's good for us to know, so that we can band together and get things done that we need to get done.
All right. And another viewer, hey, Antoine, wants to know your website so that he can check out your work.
Okay, so I'm glowing up. So we're in a transition with 4 different websites. The Majority Greek website is active. So go to majoritygreek.com. You can subscribe. It's only $12. You can submit to be advertised. You can submit to be a feature or whatever you want to do. And then right now, go to Instagram. That's where you can find like the most updated, because I really, really update Instagram daily, as within our website will be more just a placeholder so people can see my work. So Antoine Duane Jones on Instagram, and then Majority Geek on Instagram. That will be like the ultimate to see pretty much everything I do, because there's not much that I don't do photography wise.
Okay. All right. Well, Duane, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out on the show to wrap this up. I thought that this was a perfect way to wrap up this 2-week conversation on the Divine Nine, specifically because of your work with all of the organizations.
I appreciate you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Well, enjoy the rest of your evening.
You as well.
All right. Well, that is it for this edition of the Angela Show. Just want to remind you of our that is Sheer Styles Beauty Store. Make sure you visit the website. Again, the link is right there in the caption. All kinds of products, clippers for the fellows. If you're not trying to get that fade, no, anytime soon, you can cut your own hair. For the ladies, there's hair. Yes, they're bundles. There are all kind of products, but also your essential items, your mask, your gloves, your disposable gloves, as well as your hand sanitizer. So make sure you visit the website. As always, as I get ready to wrap up, I'd just like to remind you all of Ray of Motivation number 54. Cleaning a mirror does not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage you all to go out and be the change. Have a great weekend.